Oh, hello. I didn't see you coming. I'm so embedded into the history of this building and the people that lived and touched every single element that is in this house. That what was it like to be a scientist back at the end of the 18th century? What was it like to be a structural engineer building amazing things that we're used today, like train stations? Well, this was part of this family, the Salome family. Photograph objects that I'm finding scattered around, which have been left almost like a time machine. So through this walkthrough, I just want you to live the moments of this family, these generations that lived through these walls. And why not talk about the possibility of giving life to this forgotten beauty, bringing it to the next century, and through the process of doing that, preserving what the past has actually donated to us. So I'd like you to join me and stay with me through this walkthrough. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm Davide Mengoli from Salento with Love, and welcome. Stay through the walkthrough and enjoy. Have you enjoyed the journey? I'm sure you have. The details, but the building, well, let me present you to Palazzo Salomi. This was the home of the Salome family right until the end, meaning that once they left, no one else occupied the property, at least the upstairs, where you've seen all these elements that have been left there, which they can be used again to give the soul and that element of energy that was brought by this extraordinary and well-known family here in Salento. Now, what about the building? Well, first of all, one of the most impressive facades that I've seen in a very long time, not just because of the size and the length of it, because it is extremely long. Can you see 4 double windows with a balcony in the center, which is slightly embedded in, giving this grandeur element, crest, sculptures, carving on the walls, or in pietralecese, give that really rich element that was part of those families back in the days of the turn of the century. Now, before we actually go in and navigate the space, what about some of the outside details? Well, these balconies in cast iron, very rare. I don't think I've seen them before, in a very Liberty style, with this beautiful flowers element. Probably changed in the 1910s, 1920s, where that Liberty style came in. So probably they were a little bit more solid and probably changed to have this very soft approach, or maybe not. We don't really know. What about the family crest that we have at the top there, with the lion and the bird carrying a little branch of olive tree in? I mean, all these details are so amazing. And what about that beautiful carving at the top with the fruit and vegetables? Well, was this because the family was also involved heavily in the agriculture sector here in Salento? Some of these elements are what makes Palazzo Salomi a very special place here in Salento. The town in itself, well, we haven't even mentioned it yet, Soleto. I did a walk through Soleto a couple of years ago, and a town also very full of history, going from the bell tower of Soleto, which has a legend attached to it, to one of the greatest alchemists that lived through the history of this country, that traveled around the world back in the 15th century, Tafuri. You may want to research that. So this town was embedded with history. So who sat in those chairs, who touched those elements, who walked on those floors, are all elements that get me going. So let's go in explore this beautiful property together. And before we go in, looking at the composition, we have two separate units downstairs, one through there, big entrance in the center, and another two on the other side, which yes, over the years have been polluted. One of them was the actual local post office. This one was a normal house where the Salome family lived upstairs right till the end. So let's go and explore the property together. What a grand entrance this is, but look at the stairs. Wow. Everything hand painted. Apparently there was a beautiful saint just there. There's still the lights are just there, but the saint is gone. But I love this vaulted ceiling with a little star shape just here. What an incredible touch from an architectural point of view. Extremely complex. Can you believe it? Probably they were so wealthy they probably traveled to Africa. What was the idea here in Salento back at the end of the 1800s, beginning of the 19th centuries, to show giraffes? People probably have never seen a giraffe, and here they had it here. Welcome to the Salome Palace. How am I going to navigate this place? So come with me, we're just going to see it. This grand entrance. Some of you may remember some of these TVs, but look at this balcony. This is the grand balcony. With the cast iron that I was mentioning earlier, with the flowers. Look at the view. You know, I hate these gold shutters that we used in the 1960s and 70s. So they need to go just to give back the light that these beautiful doors were giving back in the days. A real piece of history. This is probably where the engineer was sitting just to draw these huge buildings and public projects that he was involved in back in the days. Probably smoking a cigarette while he was there, concentrating. July 1955. And then what's amazing about this property, it's got a roof terrace. At the moment it looks like a little bit like a natural garden because grass is just growing. But being on the first floor and having a terrace like this is such a big bonus. We also have a little garden down at the basement or down at the ground floor, which we're going to see. Well, the working station. Smart working really happened back in the day. So the Cavaliere was working here, had all his projects inside. As I open this, I have projects. I've got the tribunal, I've got the projects that are on course, I've got private projects, everything so organized. These cabinets were so beautifully made. But what about the building? Look at this star-shaped ceiling, these eye ceilings, this cementina floor, and even the pink of the walls to really connect with these amazing colours that are these earthy colours. And you know, the cementina back in the days, which are very different from today, although they can still be made to look exactly the same. But they use sand, they use sea sand, which today obviously they can't use. So the colours were so special, so rare. And every room had a beautiful floor, a different floor. So we're actually entering now a bedroom. Who slept here? We don't know. And here I'm speechless. I think when you go through properties like this, it's very humbling to look at these families and their history. In this particular case, in the 14th century, the Salomi family from a Jewish background were here, and then embedded in everything from science to architecture to all the fields, the agricultural fields. They were so well known. There is so much history if you just Google Salome family in Salento. And now we are here looking at these people, looking at their history, looking at the floor that they chose when they refurbished this property, looking at the colors that they chose to paint their walls, and the opportunity that is given to us today to refurbish this property and bringing it back to today, modern time, and also giving back to the future generations. I think it's a privilege. This cementina, probably one of my favorite one in the entire house, but also getting closer to the kitchen. So this is where everything happened. Everything they needed here, the table, the plates. And then, you see, even if this is a palazzo, the bathroom is something that came afterwards. I don't know what they were doing with their business, I'm not sure. But they actually carved a piece out of this beautiful cucina economica with this very special dual color cementina to create a bathroom. Obviously things have changed over the years, and bathrooms have become a very important part of our daily living. You will agree with that. And in refurbishing a property like this, knowing where the bathrooms are going to go is a very important aspect as well. I always say toilets don't work on Wi-Fi, so you really need to work things out. But let's have a look at this little box. So from a footprint, very special. As you remember from the front, so we really have this extraordinary facade with rooms in the front of the road and rooms at the back. The only one that sticks out really is the kitchen. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms on the front, and then we have the equivalent at the back. I'm probably missing something, I'm not sure, but have a look at the footprint, have a look at the floor plan, but easy to get lost in a property like this. Now I would like quickly to show you the downstairs before we go up on the roof and we wrap it up. Let's go back down. We're back into the big entrance where the Orsini cut probably came in, a well on the corner or a cistern providing the water for the entire building. And through here they could access the 2 different wings of the building which have been blocked off. As you can see, this has been built, closed off, 1, 2, 3, they're completely blocked off. Once upon a time you could actually go into the rest of the building through here and also entering the garden through here, which at the moment is being blocked off. Little elements like this which came later, they can really go. But look, a fireplace, so probably the workers were here or the servants, maybe the horses were kept down here, and these huge fireplaces were providing the food for the entire family. But let's go outside and step now into the 2 properties either side. We step inside, like I said right at the beginning, unfortunately they've been polluted. These were just properties that they probably rented out, sold through the course of the years. And although they've been decluttered and cleaned up, but unfortunately the details have gone. But maybe they're underneath, or maybe they could just be reinstated to look really old. But beautiful, because both of these properties now have access to the little garden. That's the little box that we saw from the other side, which can really, taken down, it can really go. But what's exciting about this property is that it's got another entrance. I never said anything about another entrance, did I? So it's got another entrance in one of the ancient little lanes. So they could probably come through here, and judging by the architecture, apart from this thing here that was built when the toilet upstairs was done, probably this was like one of the main entrances into the area. They've closed things off, which they're there to be discovered. These areas underneath the steps. And look, from that little kitchen that we saw earlier, they had stairs in stone coming into the courtyard. So this can be reinstated. This courtyard, I would definitely give it back to the building upstairs. So from upstairs, you can have some stairs coming down into this courtyard. And these two doors at the moment that give access to this part of the property, they could probably be either blocked off or turned into some windows, just giving some nice light, frosted glass, and means that this little garden could become private use of the building upstairs. Even maybe the potential of having a lift up here, or even through the process of refurbishment, do not touch those floors, do not touch that plaster. So what it means is that maybe everything could be mounted exteriorly here. The sewer, the soil stack can go up. A nice box, can hardly see it, it looks like a pillar, and everything could travel through there without touching the floors and the walls upstairs, which I think they are a piece of history in their own right. So, down here, what do we have? We have 4 rooms. It's a perfect square. So imagine, for example, creating 2 apartments. One here with a beautiful bedroom and an ensuite bathroom, and the front room could be a nice lounge with a kitchen, a little couch there, with a little bathroom, with a half bath. And so you could have an apartment. And over here, by closing this door, exactly the same. Front room over there and a beautiful bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. So really, with very little work, you can have 2 apartments. But we did say there is another one on the other side. Let's go and have a look at that. We have the other wing, which is the left side of the property, and we're just going to go in. And I also did mention right at the beginning that this was the original post office of the town of Soleto. And I don't know where it became, but beautiful again, just like next door, a little bit smaller. This is the left wing of the property, so a little bit smaller from next door, but still we have a room here which is a good size. We have another very large room over here. We can tell by this little line that appears on the wall that this was the entrance into the courtyard, into the big grand courtyard that we see next door. So this has already been split with a wall, but every time you see things like this, you can tell that there was a door there. So let's go next door and see the rest. Yeah, the grills on the windows do tell us something about the post office. And also this chute here where people used to drop their mail, and then whoever was working here back in the days was collecting and responsible. So these 2 rooms create exactly a similar square, a little bit smaller than what we have on the right wing. But again, another room here with a smaller room over here, and what seems to be a later addition to the building, this little square, this little box, which obviously it was a bathroom. The width of the stairs going up onto the roof terrace. And wow. Background, the famous bell tower of Soleto. Was it really built in one night? Well, if you don't know the legend, go and have a look at the legend, or go and see the video of Walk Through Soleto, where I mention some of the history and the legend related to that. But we are on top of this palazzo, dominating really the countryside of Salento. On one side we have the Adriatic coastline, with not too far away from Otranto and the beautiful land where the Turkish kept coming in. On the other side, the Ionian Sea, surrounded and dotted around by amazing villages. Salento still remains one of the most attractive places in Puglia. What can we say about the Palazzo? Well, I think this video talks a lot. You know, I always do my videos when the sky's blue and you're thinking, oh, Davide, so it's not always blue in Salento. No, it's not always blue. We get some rain. We're in the spring. Yesterday we were on the beach, first day on the beach, 7th of May. But today, a bit of cloudy, a little bit of a gentle wind, and it's scirocco. You know, that south wind that is very pleasant. So today is extremely warm, but we don't have that blue sky that dominates. But nevertheless, Salento still remains an extraordinary place, full and packed with history that remains there, embedded into the walls of some of these buildings that we have explored today, embedded in some of those elements, furniture, pictures, telling us a story of an extraordinary past that is there now to scream and shout again. And for us, for every one of us, with a good sense of responsibility to bring back that glorious past and enjoying the dolce vita here in the beautiful land of Salento. I hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough of Palazzo Salomi. Just ask the questions. I've found it on the website. Just remember, follow the channel, subscribe to the channel, and the most important thing that you got to do is to stay safe wherever you are.